What up, though, y'all? This is Ami with The Real Visual Outlet, and as always, beside me,
So.
And today we have a very special guest with us.
Looze Cannon, what's good? What's going on?
Looze Cannon. All right, tell us your social media and where you are from.
Social media, Twitter, Instagram is at Looze Cannon 1. That's Loose with a Z. Looze Cannon 1, Facebook Looze Cannon, YouTube Looze Cannon, Google Looze Cannon. I'm everywhere. From Detroit, Michigan, East Side, all day, East Warren.
Tell us what it was like growing up on the East Side, East Warren.
It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a rough area, but I never let, my area dictate who I would become. So I just stayed active. When everybody was out playing, I was in the basement on a laptop making beats.
After that, I pick you up and show you how to do my dance. And if you don't know, I get some people out the crowd and show you how to get wild.
I was DJing. I was, when I leave school, I was in the house a lot, just making music and working on my craft. And had a lot of homies, came and went. Some in jail, some dead, but it was I can't lie, I miss growing up on the East Side, man. I had a lot of fun and learned a lot of things that made me who I am today.
So are you a 90s baby or
yep,
what?
91.
Okay, all right.
That way.
So for those that don't know, me and you go back just a little bit, from the Lit House X events. I think about, 2 years ago, that was my first time seeing you perform.
Yeah.
And I think you performed your song, Flex. I don't know if that's the actual name of the song, but I remember you were saying, like, Flex.
It's Flex,
right.
for sure. Yeah.
And it was dope, though. I remember seeing you, and I don't remember who your hype man was that you had there, but that was you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's my dog, Smooth Talk.
But yeah, like the performance, like it was real hype, you know what I mean? Had a lot of energy to it and everything like that, and the song was dope as hell too.
Appreciate
I was actually trying to find it, but I don't think, is it on
Actually,
any platforms?
It's coming out on my new album
Okay.
again. This was 2 years ago, so this record is like 2 years old.
Okay.
But I've really been plotting and strategizing on the release of that record, because when I drop that, I don't just want to drop it to say it's out.
Right.
I want to have a strategy, a real crazy strategy for that record, because for it to have 2 years on it, it's still
hype.
Yeah,
it is.
It's still,
I'm telling you.
When I drop it, it will be the new record to people. So yeah, it's coming though. It's coming on my new album.
Okay, all right.
Tell us how you got your stage name. I believe your last name is Cannon.
Yep, correct.
So tell us about Looze.
I went through a couple names, actually. When I was 9 years old, I signed my first deal with Universal/Motown. I was in a group called Biv 10 Pee-wees. Michael Bivins from New Edition. That was a group he created that I was in with Ray Ray. He had a record called Tell 'Em What They Want to Hear here in Detroit. Antoine, which is Robert from Day 26. We were all in the Biv 10 Pee-wees. I was MC Glenn back then. And eventually, it is thick. It was hot in the 90s for me. But when I got older, I was like, all right, I need to change my name. And eventually I just went with Young G. And then, everybody at this time has the Young on their name. Looze Cannon came about because not only my last name is Cannon, but shout out to my homeboy Big Face Tony. He actually kind of birthed that name. We was in the studio. The girls came in the studio, and I know how to rap fast as well. And he was like, man, he turn it up, he rap fast. And I start rapping fast and shit. And the girls was like, man, he dope. He was like, yeah, my boy a Looze Cannon. And I was like, I'm running with it. You know what I mean? For as copyright reasons, I didn't want to do just the S, because there's another Looze Cannon, but I'm the real Looze Cannon, no cap. So I put the Z on it, copyrighted, and we here.
Okay. So what was that like? You said that you were signed at 9 years old.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because I think I read something where you were saying they were asking you if you would sign to another record, or if you prefer to be independent.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, I think you said that you're enjoying like the independent, you know, artists right now.
Yeah.
So
At being that young and having that situation, I seen a lot that most, you know, 9-year-olds at the time wouldn't see. I lived in New York for 2 years, and I would go in the Universal building, and I remember watching Baby, Lil Wayne, BG actually walk in Universal to go get their deal. They didn't know who they were. Seeing Eve from the Rough Riders, seeing all these different people. So when we dropped our album, the album came out June, I believe 15th of 99. And the album did very decent. We didn't go gold, platinum, or anything like that. And again, 10 members in the group, 3 of us from Detroit, the other ones from all over the world. So whenever we went back home, we get a call to come back to New York. So after the album came out, I come back to the city and come back to school. I'm like super famous, you know what I mean? And I was just loving it, loving the feel of feeling like somebody. And Michael Bivins went through a situation with the label, and we ended up getting dropped from Universal. And we didn't know we got dropped. At least I didn't know we got dropped. We just went back home and we never came back
together.
Yeah, we never came back together. So I was like, kind of asking my mom, like,
What's going on?
yeah, what's popping? Like, I can't buy no toys no more. Like, you know what I mean? So when that happened, that taught me a lot about independence. You know what I mean? At that moment, at a very young age, I put in my mind that I wouldn't let anyone have the power to do that type of thing to me. At that point, I really wanted to be my own boss at that point. So the independent route is where I went, and I see more from it. You know, it's more work for sure, but the reward of the hard work is priceless. So
definitely, yeah. I see a lot of artists these days. You know, we already know her kind of going that route. You may not know her, but her name's Snow the Product. She out in LA, but she was signed to a label. She ended up, you know, exiting out of that contract, and now she's independent. And she literally set up a whole nationwide tour. She's doing a part 2 actually right now. Nationwide tour by herself and her team. And all that money is hers. She ain't got to share it, you know, with all them people in the industry and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if you got it, just go and get it, you know.
No doubt.
You don't need someone getting rich off of what you created.
Yeah.
You know
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying?
No doubt.
You need to get all of that, all the assets from
No
them.
doubt.
So.
Shout out to her.
But your story definitely sounds like some New Edition, you know, Jackson 5 type stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it seemed like, you know, Michael Bivins is somebody that's like heavily in your life.
Yeah,
or whatever, like that, kind of like a mentor, would you say?
Yeah, you know, as I've gotten older, it's kind of like just a call now. Like I won't be around as much, you know, now, because it's like I'm just stepping into my own. So, but that's still my guy. He'll always be my dude, no matter what.
You recently just performed at, you know, Ribs and R&B at Hart Plaza.
Yep.
You did the song, your single, Set It Off.
Yep.
And featuring, is it
Bracia?
Bracia. Or
Bracia Taylor.
Bracia Taylor?
Yep.
Okay.
Detroit, how y'all feeling? Make some noise. I go by the name of Looze. This record's called Set It Off. Let's go. Yeah, I'm back with you, but it's heavy on my mind. I took a jump off love, we can almost die. Say that you love me, you gon' stay right by my side. We going back and forth like we do suicide. I think it's time for me to be a better girl. You rock with him.
You released that single in July, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what was it like, what inspired that project?
I actually, because I produce as well, other than being a recording artist, I'm a DJ and a producer. I just woke up one morning, went to the studio, and that was the beat I made. You know, when I go in the studio, I don't go in with a set thought on what I want to do. I just go with how I'm feeling, and I move on it. And when the beat was finished, I literally just started making up melodies. And the first thing that came to my head was, like that was the first thing I was saying. And once I found the melodic sound of it, I laid it. I just wrote some shit down, and I called Bracia, and I was like, yo, come to the studio. I want you to be on the second verse. She came, she laid it, and I liked it so much I ended up just throwing it on all platforms probably the next day. And the streaming is going stupid on that record, actually. So
tell us what was it like actually performing it. How was it there?
that was the first time. Actually, that's the second time I performed that record. The first time I performed it at my father's 30th anniversary for his record label, which I own now. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And we did Hart Plaza. Hart Plaza actually was Bracia's show.
Okay.
She ended up hitting me up saying, "Yo, that record doing a lot of streams, let's perform it." And I was like, let's get it. So she brought me out. It's probably like a couple hour notice. I came out there and we did it, and the crowd they were loving it. So they were loving it. So it made me more excited about just my album in general, because I know if they like that, they're gonna love the album.
Yeah, I like it. It sounds good to me.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sounds good. And I noticed with your music, you just have a way that you captivate your listeners, just by spending time with your album, Lose Minded, which was, I felt like it was well constructed.
Thank you.
Tell us about your production and just like what that process is like for you to be in the studio creating content.
Well, on Loose Minded, again, that was my first solo album. I went into that album with no help, no structure of how I was going to do the album. That's why I just called it Loose Minded, because it was another play off me being just open-minded to trying something that people hasn't heard. I'm from Detroit, and a lot of people would base Detroit off a certain type of sound. You know what I mean? The pianos, the Hellavas, and I love all these producers. But I come different with the music, and I produced, I believe, 90% of that album by myself. Yep. So when I saw how people took on to that, it was crazy. I think the only producer I had on there was 300 Years. Shout out to him. He did the record Bay Love, which was probably the highest streaming record on the album. Yeah, that was just a fun experience, man. The new project, I just stepped out of the box and started working with other producers or whatever. Spent more money on this, and said, let me try a different sound. If you get with different people, you can have people bring something different out of you. So.
Right.
Yeah, I rock with you, but it's money on my mind. I took a jump off Love Bridge and almost died. Say that you love me, you gon' stay right by my side. We going back and forth like we do suicides. I think it's time for you to be a better girl. You fuck with him, ay, don't know what's better, girl. Take off your top, like my coupe, yeah, you're special, girl. The way you move it, yeah, God, I'm bless you, girl. Call me when you walk. I be in them streets, we ain't gotta take out, get some Uber Eats. Tell me all your dreams while we cuddle in the sheets. Touching on this, baby, you a freak. Now who you talking to when you say you're leaving? No, we ain't through, baby girl, you're tweaking. I can make your love come down, how you leaking? 8 Fox with a dab of a little Jada Pinkett, she gon' set it off.